This is Geary Boulevard, one of San Francisco's main arterials that gets people from the suburban west to the metropolitan east. It is home to the second busiest bus line west of the Mississippi, the 38 and 38R, carrying over 37,000 passengers per day. And as you can probably tell, it has a lot of cars. And unfortunately, Geary Boulevard is part of San Francisco's high injury network, the 13% of city streets that account for 75% of severe and fatal collisions. So, SFMTA found an opportunity to help improve traffic safety, bus line reliability, and speed, and introduced the Geary Boulevard Improvement Project, which will span 2.1 miles from 34th Avenue to Stanton Street. However, similar to other street projects like Slow Valencia, the proposal faces opposition by the corridor's merchants and, in Geary's case, Supervisor Chan, who governs the area. A common concern is that reducing vehicular traffic and parking will decimate local businesses. Transit, Slow Street, and bike advocates like me collectively scratch our heads. Are cars really the main mode of transportation for customers of small businesses in San Francisco? And if so, is it inevitable or even beneficial for our community and businesses? Because oftentimes we notice that streets with better pedestrian and bike infrastructure are places where people want to go. That actually disincentivizing excessive traffic and speed makes it more likely for people to eat, shop, and spend. Although I'm mostly using examples from the Geary Boulevard Improvement Project, I wanted it to serve as a case study as to what kind of neighborhood designs business owners think would help them. And how does that stack up with reality? My name is Audrey Liu. Let's get into it. Hi, my name is Audrey, and I'm with
Jay
from
Mocha Specialty.
How long has Mocha Specialty been here, and why do you choose the Richmond?
We've been here about 4 months. The store has been here for a few years. I'm not sure exactly how long.
For the customers that do come to Mocha Specialty, do you feel like they're regulars, or how do you think they get to this store?
Oh, definitely. Most of the people that are like fans and customers here, they come one time from just walking around or just a random guess off the top of my head. It's probably like 90%, 80-90% of people that come either they come in the past and they bring in somebody else, or they told somebody, and people from the neighborhood are kind of close in the area passing through come by. But I wouldn't necessarily think that people travel from across San Francisco to come over here. You know what I mean? I don't think it's really like that yet.
Have you heard of the Geary Boulevard Improvement Project? Do you have any thoughts about it?
Not until recently, until you came and explained it. I had no idea. I agree with certain parts of it, but I don't think it's the best solution.
Yeah, a big part of it is the parking, of course. That, around 0.9 parking spots on average is going to be gone per block. I guess, how do you sort of see that affecting Mocha Specialty in particular?
I will say main thing is there's already a problem with parking. You know what I mean? So we can say it's a very small number, but then again, if we're already working from zero, then that just makes it even worse.
How would you change the neighborhood to sort of help Mocha Specialty?
I think the main people that come to our store are neighborhood. And I think that's just because it's just the feel of the neighborhood. I don't think there's really anything major we can do to kind of improve, I guess, foot traffic and make people walk the streets more. And it's like, during the weekday, people don't necessarily just roam the streets looking for coffee. They kind of go to a specific place and, you know what I mean, then go about their business. But on the weekend, that's completely different. People have leisurely time and people are walking around. So what I do see on the weekend, people walking around leisurely time, we get more sales.
You talked about leisurely time, how, during the weekends, customers can just walk around and hop in and out of restaurants or coffee shops. Do you feel like that sort of activity is easier to do in Geary versus Clement? Because I think this is a tale of almost two streets.
I think the main difference between Geary and Clement is just the way, just the street structure. There's stop signs. It's a residential neighborhood. Like, there's food and, you know what I mean, stuff like that. But then again, like I said, there's stop signs. There's a reason for you to slow down. Geary, there's no actual reason for you to slow down.
Do you think, like, Mocha Specialty, like, let's say I took this coffee shop and just plugged it into Clement, do you think you'd get more foot traffic, or do you think it?
Definitely, but I think that's because drivers have to slow down. You know what I mean? Like, let's say if we just switched all of the red lights over here with stop signs, I think that alone, way less accidents, way less, I don't know, less traffic. There's not really traffic on Clement. You know, you would think there is. If you got to slow down every street, there's going to be more traffic. Essentially, it's pretty fluid. There's nobody really getting injured. If the main problem is cars, then let's put a solution on cars specifically. I don't think the current proposition is kind of just like a cure-all. And I think if we make this happen, we're still going to have to do something after it. So we put a whole bunch of money in something where we could have just did something else and had a simple solution that way.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Take care. Before I start talking about the project, I'm going to encourage you to pause the video and consider what you've heard. Ask yourself, what kind of streets come to mind when you think of a vibrant business corridor? And how do you get around and explore the city? So in exchange for around 1% of parking within one block of the project area, the Geary Boulevard Improvement Project will do two things. It will improve the speed and reliability of the 38 and 38R bus line through dedicated red bus lanes, traffic light adjustments, and bus bulb outs. This will hopefully incentivize more people to take the bus rather than drive and help those who already do. Because the street is notorious for traffic accidents, SFMTA plans to improve traffic safety by making pedestrians more visible, prevent excessive speeding, and remove some unprotected left turns. SFMTA even conducted a survey to measure the project's economic impacts. They found that 77% of people arrived at Geary by transit, walking, or biking, and 22% of people arrived by car. Those who didn't use a car visited the corridor more frequently and spent more money. It's important to note that other parts of the city implemented similar projects before and have shown that sales tax revenue were similar or higher than citywide averages after project completion. So looking at the numbers, there are a lot of benefits. Better bus lanes, less traffic deaths, for a minimal loss in parking. Why is anyone against this? Well, it's curbside parking. The business owners along Geary argue that losing parking in front of their shop will reduce traffic accessibility and therefore greatly hurt their business. When I asked them how a majority of their customers get to their store, some said by walking, others by car, and some even said that transit was very important to them. A lot of the elderly actually use the bus to do grocery shopping. What business owners and employees could agree on, however, was that parking was contentious. If you believe that a majority of their customers drove, then any reduction in parking would seem like rubbing salt on the wound. And if not, then why improve a bus line that already works well enough? Parking is already hard to find. Shouldn't we be making that better? When I think about it from the merchant's perspective, I think I can empathize. It's unintuitive that reducing car accessibility can help with your business, especially if you think that most of your customers get to your store by car. And also, a more pedestrian-friendly corridor doesn't exactly translate to direct dollars. I mean, when a non-urbanist hears an urbanist say, oh, a more pedestrian-friendly street can help with businesses, I can imagine that they can agree, but it all feels kind of hand-wavy. But despite that, I still have one burning question in my head. Why are there more people on Clement versus Geary? If the end goal is to support our local stores, are we focusing too much on parking? I walked around Geary and Clement to compare them. I think you can immediately see that there are just more people on Clement. For reference, both clips were taken on a Sunday at around 12 p.m., which is peak lunch hour. You also notice that the road takes up a lot of space on Geary. And as a side effect, it makes crossing the sidewalk to visit other stores more difficult. And when traffic does come, it can get pretty loud. Altogether, the boulevard tells me that it's built to move cars, not people. When comparing Clement to Geary, traffic is a lot calmer. You can still hear traffic, but it's not as loud. And also, it's a lot easier to cross a street. Cars are driving slow enough where you can comfortably cross without rushing or getting stuck on a median. To me, excessive car infrastructure has greatly harmed Geary. Parking removes space that could be used for retail or parklets, which adds vibrancy and life to a neighborhood. And excessive traffic increases noise pollution, damages neighborhood character, and inconveniences pedestrians. In short, it's just nicer to be on Clement rather than Geary. However, would the merchants agree with me that a calmer street would be better for business? So I asked some business owners why the merchant corridor on Clement Street had so many more people than the merchant corridor on Geary. generally, they told me that Clement was quieter, denser, and the roads were more narrow. Cars had to slow down and there were more stores within the same block. Believe it or not, a fellow advocate even mentioned that one Gary business owner would be open to having the street become a Parisian boulevard. A more bikeable, walkable, and transitable city can reduce traffic accidents, greenhouse gas emissions, and transportation costs for low-income individuals. But there are also benefits for businesses. As you've already seen, cars are loud. They take up a lot of space and they dilute foot traffic. Business owners focusing too much on making stores accessible to cars are forgetting that you can physically bring in more people by bus, bike, or walking, while also making the corridor more attractive to everyone. For further proof, the Hayes Valley Merchants Association is currently fighting to keep their corridor car-free on Fridays and weekends. They state that a car-free street was crucial to them for pandemic recovery. While it's not a panacea, the Geary Boulevard Improvement Project is a step towards a more people-focused boulevard. Rather than focus on parking, the businesses along Geary can capitalize on the city's second busiest bus line, the 38 and 38R. Which carry over 37,000 people a day. You know, when I first heard that the Geary Merchants was against this project, I was quite frustrated. How could they be against making our streets safer? And how, I thought, could they even be against their own interests? But the more I walked and talked along Geary, the more I realized that to get to where I am, they need a leap of faith, to let go of a car-dependent system that has served them in the past. And if I were in their shoes, that would be hard, especially after the pandemic. You're risking your business and livelihood. However, as an advocate, I also support their project. Similar proposals hasn't decimated local stores in the past, and I don't think this one would either. I hope that next time, us small business owners and advocates can work together to make our city better for small businesses, more equitable, more sustainable, and safer for pedestrians. If you're still listening, thank you. And please, consider supporting your local transit and active transportation advocates. Bye.
Please hold on. Please give seats to seniors and people with disabilities.